and just kind of go ham. Wow, I've been doing eyeshadow for 10 years. You'd think that I'd be a pro. Eyeliner can smell fear. That's the problem. It will change your life. Not being dramatic, but it will. Guys, how cute is this cushion that I got in Tokyo? It's me! Maybe I should try and put this in my background. Okay, that's kind of distracting. It looks a little bit creepy. So I'm back from Tokyo. I am actually off to Vegas in a few days' time. I'm pretty sure as you're watching this, I will have just taken off on a flight to go to Vegas. I thought in today's video I would literally just strip things back down to basics and do a kind of makeup lesson slash makeup 101 slash a video for people that, well, I was gonna say are new to makeup, but not even necessarily a new to makeup. Just a kind of educational makeup video that people can refer back to if they're not really sure about things. So it's pretty much like a free makeup lesson for you guys, I guess. I'm not even a makeup artist myself, but this is just what I have learned and picked up along my journey of trying to learn how to do my own makeup. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm the best at it, but I'm not bad. I just want to mention quickly at the start of this video, Glossybox have very kindly sponsored this video, and oh my god, if you guys followed my Vlogmas last year, you would have seen that I unboxed the Glossybox advent calendar pretty much every single day. And I did actually say last year that the Glossybox advent calendar was my favourite one out of all of the beauty advent calendars that I tried, just because you get so much for your money in here, and this is a huge calendar, as you can see. So if you guys didn't know what Glossybox is, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a monthly subscription service, which is like a beauty box. So it's kind of like a monthly treat, and you can sign up for either 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So each month in your box you get 5 products. They do makeup, skincare, hair care stuff, body stuff, like, you know, general beauty things. And each of the boxes is actually worth over £50, but with my code, I do have a discount code, which is Soph40. You can get your first box for £6, and you can get the advent calendar for £70 when it's usually £80. That is such a good price for what you get in here. Just reading the information about it, it says that this advent calendar is worth over £370. But for Glossybox subscribers, it's £70. So the current October boxes, I've got a little picture of them here. I might put a little picture on the screen. They have the Angel and the Devil box. I'm guessing it's kind of themed around Halloween. And there are inbuilt savings if you do sign up for one of the subscriptions. So for example, like if you sign up for the 12-month subscription, you save like a little bit more money in the long run, if that makes sense. So in the October box, you get a lipstick crayon, an eyeshadow palette, a bath fizzer, a eyeliner pencil, a face mask, and a hot chocolate sachet. So you do get a lot for your money. It's a nice little treat. Like, £6 for your first month, that's what, like 2 drinks from Starbucks? So I'm just going to give you a little sneak preview of what comes in the advent calendar. So I'm not going to open every single door, but I am going to give you a little sneak peek just because I'm going to use a couple of these products in the video. So on the inside, you get a load of different boxes. There's 25 days, so you can do it all the way up until Christmas. So in door number 1, you get this eyeshadow palette, which is the NYX Warm Neutrals eyeshadow palette. I used to love this eyeshadow palette. I spoke about it in so many videos. So you just get a nice selection of neutral shades that are more on the warm side. This is the perfect kind of everyday palette, but also you can use some of the darker shades to do a more smoky eye. So that is in door 1, which is obviously the full size. This in itself is worth £16. I'm gonna go for number 4. This is a Nudestix Lip and Cheek pencil. I love these. This is the shade Mystic, which is a gorgeous nude colour. These are expensive. This in itself, it says, is £20.50. Definitely going to be using this in this video. I'm going to go for number 14. I'm not sure how you pronounce this brand. It's like 3Ina. I think it's like 3Ina, maybe? 3Ina. I'm not sure. But again, this is worth £12.95. This is a cream eyeshadow in the shade Light Brown. And this looks absolutely beautiful. It's just super like metallic and shimmery and gorgeous. And then the final door that I'm going to open is number 25. This is exciting. This is a Tarte contour palette, full size, again, called the Park Avenue Princess Chisel palette. This is worth £40. So you get 25 doors, and one of the doors is worth the price of half the advent calendar. Like, how incredible is this? I think I'm going to use this in this video. So basically, you get some amazing beauty products in here. They've got some great brands, some great products. So if you guys want to treat yourself for Christmas or treat someone else for Christmas, I will leave the links in the description box of where you guys can buy this. And obviously, I'll leave my discount code as well, because who doesn't love a discount code? The first thing that I would recommend with makeup, once you've done your moisturizer and SPF, because SPF is important if you don't want your skin to wrinkle. Primer. There are so many different primers that I never used to believe in primer. If you used to watch my channel, I would always be like, nah, you don't need a primer. But since I've been testing them more, it's probably best to have a primer. Depending on your skin type, there are different ones. There are hydrating ones. For example, this is the L'Oreal Magic Essence Drops. I've actually nearly run out of these, but I love this. I mean, like, I'm not a dermatologist, so I can't really tell you how to figure out your skin type. But generally, if your skin's a little bit flaky, it's probably dry, and if your skin gets shiny throughout the day, it's probably oily. But to be honest, I use a combination of primers. I'm literally just using this L'Oreal one as my moisturiser because I forgot to moisturise. And a lot of people seem to think that if you have oily skin, you don't need to moisturise. But that's a complete myth. You still need to moisturise your skin, otherwise your skin's going to create more oils to kind of like compensate, and then your skin will just get even more oily. If you've been here a while, you're probably like, Soph, shut up. We know you have oily skin. But because of that reason, I do like to go in with a matte primer. So this is the Max Factor Miracle Prep Primer, pore minimizing and mattifying. But there are so many different types of primers on the market. General rule of thumb, like I said, if you've got more dry skin, I would go for a more hydrating one. And it should say on it, like, just read the description of the products. If you are unsure, ask somebody that's like working in the makeup shop. Same goes for foundations. If you do have more dry skin, go for a more glowy foundation. But I mean, it's totally up to preference. Like, at the moment, I'm not loving having a completely matte face. Like, I'd rather have like a little bit of dewiness. I'm just gonna go in with my Revlon Colorstay. I'm using the shade 220 Natural Beige. My skin at the moment is not my friend. Tools for foundation. The two that I use and have like tried and tested are a buffing brush and some kind of like beauty sponge. This one I think is from, I don't know, I can't remember. I'll try and find it and link it down below. My personal favourite is to just use like a beauty sponge, just because I'm not gonna lie, I really like the feeling on my face. It does seem to take a little bit of the coverage out, but I just find that it makes everything look really smooth. If you want to get a little bit more of a full coverage, then you can kind of like stipple your foundation on with a buffing brush. I don't like the flat foundation brushes. Like a bog standard foundation brush that you just paint your foundation on your face with. I don't like those because I find that they make my face streaky. I'm not going to go into depth about tools in this video just because we would be here for about 17 hours. So foundation, in my opinion, is to just kind of like even out your skin tone. But with most of my foundations, I still need to like conceal areas that need a little bit more. So I don't know if you can see, I've got a nice big scar here. Got some nice blemishes on my forehead. I've still got a bit of darkness under my eyes and redness around my nose, and that is where concealer comes in. You can get concealers that are specifically for brightening under your eyes, but I tend to just go for like a general kind of all-rounder full coverage concealer that I can use all over my face. My favourite concealer at the moment is actually the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I'm nearly out of this as well. I use the shade Almond and I love this stuff. It's really like easy to use. You don't need too much of it, so I'm just putting some under my eyes. A lot of people do like a massive triangle, but I really don't feel like that's necessary. Like, I just kind of put it under my eyes. I usually put some down the center of my nose, on any blemishes, obviously. Most makeup experts would tell you to not put your concealer directly on your face, but I don't really care. I find that it doesn't really make that much of a difference. My skin was clear for ages. The only reason it's breaking out at the moment is because I switched my peel. So people that are going to come for me in the comments being like, oh, you've got spots because you wear makeup every day. I don't wear makeup every day. I wash my beauty blender every single day. You know, like I do things kind of by the rules. My skin is just not liking me at the moment. So I just like to blend this around my eyes. I use the excess to kind of go around the edges of my nose, and then I blend out the rest of the concealer on my face. Again, you could use a brush, but I find it easier to just use my sponge to do like everything. And if you don't want a heavy feeling of foundation, you can just use concealer by itself after you've done your primer. So if you wanted to then do cream, bronzer or blush, I would recommend doing it now before you powder, because it's not like, if you want to use cream products, it's not going to sit well over the top of powder. But if you want to use like powder, bronzer and blush and everything else, then I would say to powder now. There's pretty much two types of powder. There's loose powders, which are in loose form, messy but good, or you can get a pressed powder which comes in a compact. Pressed powders are a lot easier for traveling, and also I do find that they make a lot less of a mess. But for me personally, I find that loose powders make my makeup last a little bit longer. Oh god, this is gonna explode because I just taken it traveling and I didn't put the little stopper thing on, and now all of the powder's like in here. So I actually set my entire face with powder. That isn't necessary for everyone. If you do have more dry skin, you probably won't need to set your whole face. Maybe just your under eyes and areas that are gonna crease. Most people would probably suggest using a smaller brush to set your under eyes. But because I do set my whole face, I'm not gonna lie, I just go in with a massive powder brush and just kind of go ham. This is probably the least professional makeup lesson that anyone's ever seen, but like I kind of start with my under eyes because they crease quite quickly. Then I literally just set my whole face. So I'm then taking the Park Avenue Princess palette, which is by Tarte. I haven't used this one before, but it looks beautiful. So you do have some shades in here which you can use to brighten up your under eyes. To be honest, I don't really use powders to brighten up my under eyes because I find that my concealer does that enough. But in here we do have some contour shades and we have some bronzer shades. Difference between contour and bronzer. Contour is supposed to kind of replicate shadows to make you look a bit more chiseled. And then bronzer is to add warmth to kind of make it look like you've got a bit of a tan, like you've been on holiday. To be honest with you, most of the time now I just go in with bronzer. I used to do contour and bronzer, but I kind of like the look of just having bronzer. Like I'm not too bothered about the whole shadowy thing because I find that bronzer contours me enough anyway. So for contour, you want to use a more cool tone shade to look more like a shadow. So I'm taking this shade, which is called Carrot. So even though my cheekbones aren't the most prominent, like my face is quite round, you can kind of see where they start just like looking at your face in the mirror. Some people find it helps to go like, I just kind of like move my mouth to one side like this, and then you can kind of see a bit of shadow here. And then I find that it works a lot better if I blend my contour upwards. You don't want to blend it down, otherwise that will make some like weird looking shadows. So you want to kind of just go in at the same sort of angle as the shadow. So then hopefully you can see it's made like a bit of a shadow. And if you do make any mistakes, you can use one of like the lighter powders like this to just go underneath. Then for bronzer, you want to take a nice fluffy, not too dense brush. I just use one of these angled bronzer brushes. I'm going to take the shade called Angle from this palette, which is a bit more warm. I'm going to dip in a little bit, tap off the excess, which I find is really important. Wow, because this one is quite dark. And then you just want to add this to, again, your cheekbones to kind of make you look a little bit more warm. I like to put some around my forehead, the temples kind of here, like the sides of my forehead, a little bit to kind of connect it in the middle around my hairline, and mostly just kind of like on the sides of my forehead, just to kind of make you look a little bit three-dimensional, and also like, I don't know, I just feel like it makes me look a bit more alive, you know? You don't have to put it on your forehead. A lot of the time I get shouted at for putting bronzer, like too much bronzer on my forehead. So if you don't like that look, that's totally fine. I'm gonna go in with this blusher palette from Barry M, which is actually part of the Glossybox advent calendar. I tend to just go for like a very peachy sort of blush, so I'm gonna take this shade here. So I'm just dipping in a little bit, again, tapping off the excess. It's a lot easier to add a little bit of product and then add more than it is to like take it away, if that makes sense. So I just smile with my blush and just add it onto the very like roundest bits of my cheeks, and then I kind of bring it up a little bit above where I've done my bronzer. So moving on to highlighter, which is like my favorite thing in the whole world. A very important tip that I've learned for this is have 2 highlighter brushes if you're going to be highlighting your nose and your brow bones and things. Use one brush for your cheeks, and then for the smaller areas like brow bones, inner corners, nose, use a smaller brush, because otherwise you're just going to end up looking like, I don't know, you've just run like 6,000 miles and you're sweaty. I'm using my Makeup Revolution Soph highlighter palette, and I'm using the gold shade, which is my favourite. So I just take a little bit on, well, I say a little bit, I take quite a lot, on this brush, which is just like a tapered Luxe Powder Fusion brush from Zoeva. Again, I kind of like to smile so I can see the tops of my cheekbones like this. And then I literally just put this on the very tops of my cheekbones. You don't want to bring it down too low. And then I go a little bit around the side like this. And that is it for my cheeks. Same on the other side, just the tops of my cheekbones to make me look a little bit more angular. So I take like a really small concealer brush, and then I go in just under my brow bone to make that kind of pop a little bit. I then go onto my inner corners just to really brighten up your eyes. Can you see the difference between this eye and this eye? And then I also like to bring some down my nose. So I do a skinny little line about halfway down my nose, and then I just do a little bit on the very highest point of the tip of my nose. And I don't know, I just think it makes my nose look really cute. And then also a little bit on the Cupid's bow, not too much because you don't want it to look like you've got a Sula. Moving on to the complicated world of eyebrows. There are so many different products. There's brow pencils, there's brow pens, there's brow pomades, gels. I find the most simple way for me to do my eyebrows is to use either a tinted or clear brow gel, and then any sparse areas after I've done that, I would just use a little brow pencil to just fill in any gaps. I find that that's super quick. If you don't want to do too much for your brows, I would just recommend getting like a tinted brow gel or something. This is Benefit's Gimme Brow. Oh, okay, there was a big bit of product on there and it's just too much. Okay, so I just gently run this through my eyebrows to give them a little bit more structure and make them look a little bit more full. I also like to wipe off some of the excess product, and you could just leave it there depending on how like full your eyebrows are naturally. But like I said, if you want to add a little bit more definition and colour, I just use a skinny eyebrow pencil, and I like to do a very light line at the front of my brows. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want it to look like you've got like scary block eyebrows. And then I use the pencil to draw in very thin, again, quite light lines at the front of my brows, but you don't want it to look too kind of drawn in. I feel like maybe I should do a whole video on eyebrows because this is quite specific, but I'm just using a very, very light hand and small strokes because, again, like, it's easier to add more than to take it away. Also as well, I do quite like a very bold eyebrow, so if this is a bit too much for you, that's totally fine. I would recommend starting like with the tail of your brow, filling in the most colour there, and then working on the front like I did with the pencil. You don't want to go straight in with the thickest amount of product at the very front of your eyebrow because, I don't know, that's when it just gets a bit too blocky. Eyeshadow honestly just takes practice to get it right. I'm still not the best at eyeshadow, but like I've practiced a lot and I've definitely learnt a lot since doing it. Like I started doing my eyeshadow when I was maybe like 12 and I'm now 22. Wow, I've been doing eyeshadow for 10 years. You'd think that I'd be a pro. So I'm using my Extra Spice palette with Revolution. I know that everyone has got different techniques of doing that eyeshadow. I personally like to do it this way. I'm taking a medium brown shade, so this one is called Cookie Dough, and a fluffy brush. Again, doing a little tap off of the excess. And again, you want to hold the brush, not like this, so that you're like fully like going in there with the brush, you know? You want to hold it a little bit more loosely. And again, using a super light hand, I'm just going to do circular motions, starting at the outer part of my eye and through my crease. I find it's a lot easier to look down into a mirror, and you do want to blend this medium brown sort of colour relatively high up, and as you get towards the edges of your eyeshadow, you want to make the pressure even lighter, just so that it like blends it out really nicely without looking too harsh. So I'm just starting off with a really small amount of product, and then I'm just working that towards the inner kind of like crease of my eye socket. You can kind of feel like, okay, that's kind of gross, but you can kind of feel where your eye socket is, and you just want to like work that colour into there all the way round. I know that some people like to start with the darker colour, but I like to start with the kind of lighter transition colour just because that's what I find works for me. And I do blend it relatively high up because I find that if I just blend it like just on my eyelid here rather than blending it up to here, it kind of closes off your eyes and makes them look a bit smaller. So I'm just doing the same on the other side. Then the best thing to do is to take a clean brush and blend out the edges, but do I have any clean brushes? Most likely not. I'm now going in with a slightly darker brown. This one is called Chocolate Orange, and this is quite a warm shade. I personally like to use quite warm coloured browns on my eyes just because I find that it makes my blue eyes stand out a bit more. So I'm going in with a smaller kind of like flatter brush. I'm just going to put this on the outer corners of my eye. So I'm just laying that down first, just kind of like on the outer third, like here. Then I'm going back in with my blending brush to just blend that into that other shade. And I find that by putting the darker colour on the outer parts of your eye, it just kind of opens up your eye a little bit and makes them look a little bit bigger. And you can either blend it into a more like rounded shape, you can blend it into a more cat eye shape, just experiment with like the different shapes that you like. And then I'm going in with an even darker brown. This one is called Brownies, and I'm going to put a tiny bit of this just again like on the very outer corners of my eye, but I'm not going to blend that in very far at all. You don't even have to use this many colours, like you can literally do an eyeshadow look with just 2 colours. And then on the inner part of my eye, I normally use something a bit shimmery just to like open my eyes and brighten them up a bit. Today I want to use this cream eyeshadow because it looks really pretty. So this is the one that came in the Glossybox advent calendar, and I would do the exact same thing if this was a powder or a cream. I'm just taking a smaller flat brush and I'm just going to put this on the kind of inner half of my eyelid, just up to where I've blended those other shades. Sometimes as well I find with powder eyeshadows that are shimmery, they sometimes do actually apply a bit better with your finger. So you can do that as well, just whack it on. Like, I don't really take any like precision with this, but can you see like this just makes my eye look a little bit more brighter with the shimmer. And then my inner corners are already highlighted because I put highlighter there already, but if you want to go back and add more shimmer to them, feel free. And then on my lower lash line, I don't do anything that exciting. I usually just take the same sort of browns that I've used on my eyelid, and then I run the darker shades around like 3/4 of the way along my eye. You don't have to put eyeshadow on your lower lash line. Some people have told me it makes me look like a raccoon, but I kind of like it. I feel like it just balances everything out, and again, it makes your eyes look so much bigger. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit of the shimmer again, just put that on the, well, kind of matching the upper eyelid, just along to where I've done it there, so I guess about like halfway along my lower lash line. So for eyeliner, I do actually have a whole video on eyeliner, so I'm not going to go too into depth with it, but again, you just need to practice. I personally find that liquid eyeliners, like felt tip sort of eyeliners, are a lot easier to use rather than like a pot of gel. Something I just realised that I like to do before I do eyeliner or mascara, setting spray. It's not necessary, but I do find that this one in particular, the Urban Decay All Nighter, helps my makeup last just a little bit longer. But I do it before my mascara because otherwise I find it makes my mascara run and like transfer onto my lower lash line. So I'm using this liner by a brand called Uoma. It's the Cleopatra Ink liner. And like I said, I do have a whole video about eyeliner. It is a very old video, so don't judge me, but I'll try and remember to like link it in this video, or if not, just type in Soph does nails eyeliner. It should come up. So with a felt tip kind of eyeliner, they usually go to like quite a fine point. I usually like to start at the very kind of inner part of my eye and draw a thin line as close to my lashes as possible. Again, I find it helps to look down into a mirror, and I start off with a very thin line just so that if I want to build on it, I can. So I kind of like almost like rest the eyeliner on my eyelashes and then go from there, and then just keep making it a little bit thicker. I like to just draw a line almost towards the angle of my eyebrow, but not quite this high. I sort of do it at the angle that my lower lashes meet here, and then just like keep going, if that makes sense. So I just do small strokes and just do a little line first, like this. So just one line. Then from almost the end of it, I connect that to that line. So I've got a triangle. Then I fill in the triangle. And then so that it's not a right angle, I then just add the curve. Smooth out the line, and there we go. Okay, I know I probably made that look a lot easier than it is, but honestly, it's fully down to practice. Eyeliner can smell fear, that's the problem. I'm gonna go in with mascara. I'm not gonna do false lashes because that is an entirely separate video, and I'm not even that great at doing them, so maybe watch someone else. Again, I've got a whole video on mascara. This is the Revolution, Mascara Revolution. My best trick, again, is to look down into a mirror and wiggle at the root of your lashes. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm sexy and I know it. No, no one else, just me? Okay. The more you wiggle, the more volume you're gonna get. So if you wiggle and then drag up through your lashes, it will give them so much more volume than if you just do this. So I always wiggle first and then drag up. If you get any clumps, you can literally just pinch them with your fingers and then add a little bit more with the brush. But my biggest advice is if you want volume, wiggle that brush at the roots and then pull up through your lashes. It will change your life. Not being dramatic, but it will. If you haven't done that before, please try it and report back in the comments because I'd love to see if it did change your life. And then on the lower lashes, obviously, most people don't like to have as much as the top lashes, but I still like to do the wiggle just to like catch them all. To be a Pokemon master is my destiny. Same with the lower lashes. If you get any clumps, literally just pinch them out with your fingers or your nails. I never used to wear lip liner, but if you do want to define the outline of your lips a little bit more, that does definitely help. I've recently started doing it, and it actually, you know, you can overline your lips and make them look a little bit more pouty. But with lipsticks, I feel like lipstick is probably the most bog standard basic thing to do with makeup. Just slap it on and hope for the best. So I'm using this Nudestix pencil, which is in the shade Lip Mystic. And because it's a pencil, you can kind of like get the shape of your lips as well. Oh my god, that's the perfect colour. I like to overline my lips a little bit just because they are naturally a little bit uneven. But again, it kind of goes for the same thing. Like if you've got quite dry lips, I would recommend using a more moisturising glossy lipstick. Like if you do have dry lips, I wouldn't necessarily recommend like a matte liquid lipstick because that's probably going to be quite drying. That was probably the most useless makeup lesson that's on YouTube. But hopefully I helped. If I did help, please let me know. So as it has come to the end of one of my videos, I'm going to answer a question of the day. Today's question of the day is from Eve Thomas, and she said, I'm so proud of you, Soph. From phone case hauls to having your own collaboration, you deserve the best. Thank you so much. And also I just need to, oh my god, I need to say a massive thank you to all of the support on my Skinny Dip announcement video and just for the collection in general. Like, oh, thank you guys so much. It's gone down really well. A lot of you seem to love it, which is amazing, and I'm so happy. So thank you guys if you bought anything, or even if you just like sent your support. Thank you so much. But she has said, question of the day, are you more excited for this collab than you were for your Makeup Revolution ones? And no, like to be honest, no, I'm not more excited for either one of them because they're so different from each other. Like obviously with my Makeup Revolution stuff, it was makeup. With this stuff, it's completely different. Like jewelry, phone cases and makeup bags, it's just like a very different category. They're both like my little babies, and both of them are like very special to me, and I'm like so proud of both of the collaborations. So yeah, right, I'm gonna end this video here. Remember, if you guys want to get your hands on the Glossybox with a discount, I will leave all the information down below in the description box with the links and my discount code and everything. And also if you want to sign up for the subscription service, that will also be in the description box as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any video suggestions, let me know down below in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!